In this video, we describe how to work with DB2 database security. This is the agenda for this presentation. If you need more details about this topic, refer to this. Supporting material, Chapter 10 of the book Getting Started with DB2. Express C 3rd edition and Lesson 9 of the db2university.com. DB2 academic training. Let's start with a DB2 security general overview. This slide shows that security in DB2 is performed in 2 steps. The first step is called authentication and is normally performed by the operating system or an external security facility outside of DB2. The second step is called authorization, and that part is performed by DB2. For example, at the top, we see user Bob issuing a connect to the sample database, and he's passing user Bob using password, where PWD is the password when he issues this connect statement. The statement will first go to DB2. It will check the value of the DBM CFG parameter authentication at the server, and depending on the value of that parameter, it will request the operating system of the client or server machines or external security facility to perform authentication, so the authentication again is not performed by DB2 but normally by the operating system or an external facility, or even you can write your own code to perform the authentication. This is different from other relational database management system because this other system normally can define users within their database system, but in DB2 you really cannot define a user within DB2. The users are defined outside of DB2. The same thing with groups, they will be defined outside of DB2 normally. This will be operating system users or operating system groups as well. This approach avoids having too many users IDs passwords defined at different levels. Once the operating system verifies there is a user Bob with password PWD, it will tell DB2 that yes, this person is okay to connect. After that, DB2 takes over with the authorization part. Second step, where DB2 checks if the user can, for example, issue a select asterisk from my table. When the user start executing operations in the database, DB2 will check in this case that user Bob has select privilege and he can do it on the table, my table. Let's now provide more details about authentication. As indicated earlier, DB2 does not perform authentication. However, it does have a DBM CFG parameter called authentication to specify. Where how is authentication to be performed? The table shows different values. For this parameter, server is the default. Server encrypt is like server, but the password is encrypted through the network. Data encrypt is like server encrypt, but it also encrypts the data through the network. CS plugin is what you need to select if you want to plug in your code so that it performs authentication. This provides an example of how to review the contents of the authentication parameter and then of how to update it using the get dbmcfg and update dbmcfg commands respectively. The figure again shows where authentication will actually happen based on the value of the dbmcfg authentication parameter. If authentication is set to server, the user1 with password pwd1 need to be defined at the operating system or external security facility. In the server, if authentication is set to client, the user1 with password pw1 need to be defined at operating system or external security facility. In the client, there are more parameters that need to be set up when using authentication to a client which are not discussed in this presentation.